Welcome to the Morse Code Podcast, where we talk with entrepreneurially minded creatives in music, film, and writing. My name is Korby, and I'm hoping these conversations inspire you to push deeper into your own work, whether you're a full-time professional or just starting out on your own creative odyssey. I'm really excited to share this conversation with singer-songwriter Abigayle Oakley. Originally from Las Vegas, Abigayle moved to Nashville to study songwriting and business at Belmont University. I met this promising young singer-songwriter at the Wildflower Festival in Texas, where we were both competing at the Al Johnson Songwriters Competition. I was struck by Abby's genuine musicality, and as a songwriter of the next generation, I wanted to have her into the studio to see how she's tackling the challenges of moving forward as an indie artist in today's landscape. She also plays 3 songs here in the studio, and I get to join her on a couple. If you get something out of the Morse Code Podcast, please like and subscribe. And now, here's my conversation with Abigayle Oakley. Abigayle Oakley, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for making time for us.
I'm so excited.
I'm excited.
It's good to be here.
I'm excited too. And maybe we can jump into this by setting up how we met, which was at a songwriting competition.
Yeah.
Is that fair to describe it as? And I mean, songwriting is a songwriting and songwriting performance, singer-songwriting competition.
Yes, the Al Johnson Performing Singer-Songwriter Contest
at the Wildflower Festival. I think is the whole, you got to get all 16 words in.
I know.
So people really know
it's
what
like
you're talking about.
half my bio.
Yeah. It just goes on and on. It's like, wow, these are a lot of competitions she's been part of. Oh, it's just one really long one. Well, we met there, and we both placed in a nice, happy standing that we could put in our bios. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, I got to see you sing and play, and me and my wife were both in the audience, and we both looked at each other and I was like, she's good. And I would say, like, you're good. And also, this is the thing that I feel like sets apart singer-songwriters that are kind of destined to put a lot of energy into it, touring the world from everybody else. And that is that you're truly musical. You know, it's not just like you wrote a song and you know how to play 3 chords and you sing, but you're like, you emanate musicality. And so props to you for emanating musicality.
Man.
And so I was impressed, and I wanted to talk to you more. And the other reason why I wanted to get you on the podcast is because you're doing something that I recognize in myself, which is you're hanging your shingle out there with your name on it and your songs, and you're touring, and you're making records, and you're making videos, and you're doing a full bore go at getting yourself and your name out there in the music business as a performing singer-songwriter. So I applaud you. And as somebody who spent 2 decades doing it himself and who's watched the landscape change quite a bit, I just wanted to talk to somebody who's younger at this and kind of with a fresher lens. Maybe we can just start with, my understanding is that you are from Las Vegas, Nevada originally, mm-hmm. which is as everybody knows, a songwriting mecca out there in the desert. So maybe my first question is, how did you get exposed to this, and how, what's an early memory of music in your life that made you kind of want to start investigating the journey?
Sure. My parents are both musicians, jazz vocalist and bass player. And my mom did a lot of musical theater. She was in Menopause Musical in Las Vegas. So I have many examples, early memories of family Christmas concerts. And my brother and I were both put in piano lessons when we were little. And from there, I picked up a guitar and never looked back. Mm-hmm. And there's a performing arts high school, Las Vegas Academy, where I studied classical guitar, and that was kind of, so it consumed my whole life, just like hours of practicing. And that's kind of when I realized that there's nothing else I could do besides music, because I had no other skill set.
But it sounds like, so your folks were from like a theater and jazz background, which is, cousins to, but not I wouldn't say brothers to, the songwriting game. And so what was it about songwriting that made you kind of want to start doing that?
It just happened as therapy as a teenager going through high school. Like I'd always been a big lover of English class and short stories and writing, and then to have that guitar love come in as well, it just manifested without giving too much thought to it.
Yeah. I think that there's quite an overlap between English majors and guitar aficionados, and that in the Venn diagram of that is a singer-songwriter. Totally.
Yeah. I think overall I'm a aware nerd. I loved school, and so when I was leaving, my parents had one rule, and it was you have to leave Vegas when you graduate high school. So I went to
leave this place.
Yeah, and it was good. I love Vegas for surprising reasons. You know, it's the landscape there is just gorgeous.
Yeah,
and there's a lot more to that town than gambling and showgirls. And
what's something that people don't know about life and growing up in Las Vegas that they might should?
You're 20 minutes from Red Rock Canyon, and it's just gorgeous hiking, free.
So you spend a lot of time outdoors and stuff. That I can relate to that, which is that I grew up in southern Idaho in a small town. And it's not Red Rock's gorgeous Vegas, but there's a big river that was just to the north of my town called the Snake River. And there's a huge canyon right there in Twin Falls. In fact, that's where Evel Knievel tried to jump the canyon in the 70s. Maybe you heard of that. That was like a mile from my house. But I spent so much time outside as a kid. I had a very camping, intensive bike riding, swimming in ditches. We call them coulees in southern Idaho there.
Cool.
But it's made such an impression on me growing up. It still is with me. It makes me long for going back west because of my connection to the land.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that was informed you in a similar way.
Totally. And Nashville is a different kind of beautiful. Like we have rolling hills here. Yeah. But there's something about being in a valley and you look around and there's just massive mountains around you.
Yes. And it's so, there's not trees like there are here. So you can see a long ways. That was the first thing when I first came to town. I was like, wow, you can never look over the trees. I'm still not really over it 20 years later. But anyway, you moved here nonetheless. And you moved here to go to college. Is that right?
Yeah. I went to Belmont University. So I have a bachelor's degree in songwriting and a minor in music business.
Wow. So you were born to do it and you're schooled to do it. And now you have to do it.
Yeah, I want
what
to.
Else? What else are you good for?
Right.
I mean, and that was, when did you graduate?
2022.
Okay. So you're just you're right out of the gate doing this.
A little bit.
Amazing. Yeah. And you're already getting attention with your songs on the songwriting circuit because those contests are pretty competitive, right? 500 people usually. Let me rephrase this. You were a finalist at the Rocky Mountain Folks Fest contest. One of the 10 finalists, is that?
Yeah, I don't know. Folks Fest is different than the Rocky Mountain Songwriting Contest. One is in Colorado and is with Telluride
people,
bluegrass,
Planet Bluegrass.
Yeah, and then the Rocky Mountain one is they do Whitefish Songwriter Festival and Red Lodge and
okay,
yeah,
okay, that's a different one than I'm thinking, but I actually kind of did want to play that one this year, and my feelings are hurt that they didn't invite me, guys.
Gotta get Korby in there.
But I have, mostly because I have a connection to Montana and Red Lodge and that area. And it's another, it's just beautiful out west.
Yes.
Okay. We've already covered that topic well enough. So, my point being that if you're getting invited to these, finalists and getting your name out there, you're doing really great early on. And many people never get that far along in terms of the recognition of their songs. So that's awesome. And it bodes well.
Thank you.
And let's see. Let's get into some of the promo side of this game. Like, you told me a sad story right before we started taping.
Yeah. So underneath this shirt is an elbow brace, because I was out this morning at Peeler Park, which is a beautiful park to walk and maybe not roller skate through, as I was doing. And I was making content for a little song I put out called Rollerblade Boy. Mm-hmm. And I took a pretty nice spill right on my elbow, my guitar playing elbow.
Great.
And I'm suffering the consequences.
Well, hopefully not too much, so we can actually hear you play and maybe play a little bit together. But, well, that sucks. Just let me get that out there. And was the camera rolling when you fell?
It was. I have a very nice boyfriend that turned the camera away when I was like catching air.
I would say that's the wrong time to turn the camera away.
I know. He's a very grounding presence when it comes to making content and just life in general. So it is on brand for him to, do that, not capture that moment. And I think ultimately that is a good thing. Nice.
No, I think that will serve you well in the long run for sure. But so this is a nice way to get into, it's not enough anymore to make a wonderful song and sing it yourself and raise the money to hire the producer to make the studio version. You're not trying to get signed to a record label. Like, maybe you are, but that's not a thing that happens.
It's not really the first goal anymore. It's like, I need to build an audience. I need to have music and a brand that's compelling before I can even put that on the goal sheet.
I get it. Now more than ever. And so you're your own label and you're your own marketing firm. And so this piece of content for which you paid a dear price this morning was in service of a song that you recorded. And I don't think it was even like for an official video per se. It's just some content put up on your phone to put in front of the song that you're putting underneath it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And that's a lifestyle, right? Mm-hmm. That was Thursday.
Yeah.
A Thursday in November, you went and did this. And how do you manage to persevere this kind of impossible schedule of self-promotion and keep your mental sanity and your creative juices flowing?
I think I'm in a current season of just creating what sounds really fun to me. Yesterday, I shot a video of me making like dinosaur nuggets from scratch for a song called Dinosaur Bones. And it's really like silly, borderline doesn't make sense. And that is just what brought me joy that day. And my hope is that if I can chase down ideas like that I will find my people who also think that is so dorky and funny, and also this is a cool song playing behind it.
Mm-hmm. I get that, and I think another reason three why you're here is because I get it. Because I'm a fan and I follow you and I like your sense of humor. I think that, you don't take yourself terribly seriously. Maybe you do underneath it all, but your brand is pretty quirky and we're having fun here, folks. Mm-hmm. So I guess you have a fan in me, and there's a bunch of people like me, probably smarter and more sophisticated. Okay. And so the relentlessness of it doesn't bother you. Question mark.
It can, just like anything can. I burn out. I put too much on my plate and serve the consequences. But I think there is just something in me right now is like able to push past that. And I certainly have days where like I don't feed the beast. I don't feel creative. I don't make a piece of content, but I'm still thinking about it and stressing about it. So I guess the way that I make peace with it is an analogy I've used in the past is like, if you're in the medical field and a new piece of technology comes along to serve what you do in the medical field, like you're going to study up and learn how to use that to do your job better. And that is just what this social media beast is in our world. Mm-hmm. And I think I have a lower tolerance for like people complaining about that, because it is just the landscape that we're in now. That's the job.
Yeah.
So
find another job if you don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get it. And I would say too, that to your point about, you know, even on days when you're not actively making content or writing songs, and you notice that it doesn't really go away, you're kind of always thinking about it.
Yeah.
I don't think that ever goes away. As somebody who's 20 years later living in the same exact space. And like even when I am hanging out with my wife or on a day off, like there's no such thing as a day off still. There's kind of Sunday's kind of a chiller day. I'll try to keep Sunday chiller. Good. But still I still often get up very early in the morning to get some stuff done before my wife wakes up and we have our chill day. You just don't ever stop thinking about it. And I think that's kind of the bane of the entrepreneur's existence, is that we're in a hustle field, and no one's going to do it for you but you. And it's competitive too. There's a lot of other people that are really talented, and you've kind of got to out compete them. Do you feel the same way, or do you think of it that way? Or
I can come to thinking that way. I don't think that's a healthy space for me to operate out of, especially in Nashville. Like everyone is hustling, and I try to use that more as like inspiration to keep hustling and keep being creative. I find in my utmost like mental healthiness, what is really motivating is like bringing cooler opportunities to my circle of writers and musicians and people who have played bar gigs with me and like we're in this together. Like I just want to put out content to like have a bigger audience going, so that maybe next time I take my musician friends on tour, like we're playing a cooler room, or like we're getting more money. And I think that community aspect and like building something, like I can't put that all on my artistry and my songwriting. Like it has to be, okay, who are the people around me? Like who are my co-writers on this song that I want to like have 1 million streams? How can I build up our world, you know?
Yeah. Our, not mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that. That makes a lot of sense. And it's a good thing for me to hear, living in town for as long as I have. It is hard to not feel a little intimidated. And you see people, especially I've been here a long time, so I've seen some people turn into superstars that were just my friends. And that it is great. I noticed that one of the reasons for this Morse Code podcast is because it's hopefully we're working hard to make it go, and putting out a new episode every week, but it's a kind of a cool opportunity to shine a light on a lot of different people that I admire in town, and also serve my kind of desire to get to know better said people. So like we might not go get coffee because we're both busy. Maybe we should, but this is us I'm drinking coffee right now.
Yeah.
And so we can kind of talk and get to know each other a little better, and also I don't know, share some of what you do I think is great with whoever's listening. You listening right now, click on Abigail's link in the comments below. Okay.
Cool. I have a link.
You do now.
Okay.
You finally made it. You have a link.
Any link?
Well, there's a little bit of music here in this podcast. And so maybe, do you want to set up the first song? like how you came to write it, who you wrote it with?
Sure.
Think of which song that is. That's the first test.
Right. I guess we were talking about Dinosaur Bones earlier.
Yes, we were.
This is a song I wrote with Jackson Emmer, who's a dear collaborator and an amazing songwriter himself. Go check out his music. And it's a very existential song about existentialism and dinosaur bones. And there is a dorky music video, a stop motion film that I made to go along with it.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can check out the morsecodepodcast.com, and the link will be right there to Dinosaur Bones. Let's hear it. That was fantastic. And this is a great segue to what I want to ask you about your creative approach, which is what percentage of the songs you write are co-writes versus solo writes?
I think these days, like 90% of my songs are co-writes. Mm-hmm. I think what you were saying about your creation of the Morse Code podcast was to like connect with people you wouldn't ordinarily have time to like have coffee with. Mm-hmm. That's kind of co-writing for me sometimes, is like I want to see my friends and I want to hang out and see what they're up to, but also like, can we write a song as well? Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of my day-to-day looks like there's a co-write in there at some point. How
many days are you writing every week, every couple weeks, twice a week? What do you think on average?
When I'm in town, like 3 to 5 times a week.
Nice. Yeah. So. And you'll finish a song most of the time, or all the time, or is it not important to you to finish if it's not going well?
Lately, everything usually gets finished and then we'll go back and edit. I think that works well for my brain to just get something on the page, and then if it needs a little more love and care, we can go back to it.
Mm-hmm. And then are your co-writers, are they kind of artists as well? Are they trying to do it? And okay, well, that answered that question.
I nodded.
Yes, she's nodding for the listeners. As somebody who is not from here, who moved here, I never really co-wrote a song. Even I had made several records. I lived in Seattle. I went to college out there, cool. And never co-wrote a one until I moved here. And it's just kind of in the water here. It's so cultural that it is a big part of the reason. It's a social component. It's a great way to meet creative people and to kind of test your, I don't know, just see what you can come up with. I find it very scary to write a song, whether I'm writing it by myself or with someone. Do you have any trepidation around the creative process, or are you kind of handle it so freely? It seems like you're pretty gentle and it's a playful thing, or I don't know, is there a fear component to it that you overcome?
The best thing I ever heard about creativity, I think this was at Belmont. I wish I remembered who passed it along, but it's a Greek philosophy of the genius in the walls. Have you heard of that?
No, break it down.
It's like this idea that your ideas are not your own, and all you can do is show up and listen. And if the genius is in the walls, you can catch it and you can write it down. And if it's not in the walls, you still showed up to work and you still wrote something down. Maybe it was, half-assed genius showed up today and you got your song. And
so the genius's fault, not your own.
Yeah.
It's not your responsibility to generate the song.
Yeah.
It's just your vessel, here to catch it.
Mm-hmm.
That's really encouraging. And I have a connection to that analogy, which is that when I was younger, I did a bunch of hitchhiking and had some wacky adventures. And one of those was visiting a snake handling church in West Virginia.
Whoa.
And I got really in with the community and hung out with them. And that's another story. But for this story, there was a component to this church and the church service that was like, it was basically a dead show. It was jam band music, except largely sober. They were drinking strychnine, allegedly. Something clear in the glasses that was making them wince. Who knows what that could have been. And they were handling poisonous snakes for Jesus. All crazy. But there was a guitar player in the band and he was throwing it down. I mean, he was really good, and he was just, but he was very, this is Appalachia, deep Appalachia. He was very much of the town and of those folks. And his name was Booty. And afterwards I was like, man, Booty, you're great at that thing. How did you learn some people? What are your influences? And he's like, influences? Man, I don't know anything about no influences. It's just like God shows me some stuff. And I was like, wow. Yeah. I mean, that's as good an answer as any. I've thought about that a lot ever since. Of just like, yeah, because what's really going on when we're sitting there trying to make a song? I think about, for myself, I'm like, it's a mysterious thing every single time. I don't exactly know what's going on. It's not me writing a song. It's like you said, it's the genius in the walls.
Yeah.
You can talk about influences, and I guess there certainly are those things, but in the act of actually making the thing, it's something else. But I said the word influences, and that makes me want to know, in that sphere, do you have people that you admire in this space?
Yeah.
That inspire you?
I mean, I love listening to new music. I love listening to my fellow Nashville friends when they put out music. And I think anything you listen to will influence you if you're a musician. Mm-hmm. But my go-tos, like I was a big Ed Sheeran girl back in the day.
Yeah.
Panic at the Disco. They have some roots in Vegas. So I think that was kind of why I got into them.
Thing.
And they use like 4-syllable words in their songs. I always thought that was really cool.
Like what's one? Not a word.
They have a song called I Constantly Thank God for Esteban, and they never say that ever in the song. And so I just like the indie girl in me in like 7th grade was like, this is so cool.
The long song title.
Yeah. Just random. I guess it all comes back to kind of like this lightness around music that's just, that made me smile. And
it's again, like not taking it too seriously. It's like music for fun.
Yeah.
It's very refreshing to hear this because singer-songwriters can sometimes be a little bit stodgy. I'm one of them.
Sure.
And it is really important to remember that it's supposed to be fun. I actually try to put on a fun show because I've watched lots of great singer-songwriters play shows that if I hear, maybe they have a song that's just like, oh my God, that's so good. But if there are too many songs that are kind of similar and hover around the same thing, it's very difficult to enjoy the whole set all the way through. Sometimes I'm like, less is more, unless it changes up a lot. And it is also like fun for its own sake. There's an artist named Rachel Price. I don't know if you know her. Well,
is she the Lake Street Dive singer?
Lake Street Dive. And she's a great example of a fun performer and artist. And Lake Street Dive is a fun band. And great songs and great talent, but also we're having a great time here.
Yeah. I think some of it too is my songs are a lot darker and more serious that's not how I present myself on the surface. I think I'm much more like silly than my songs. So if I can provide some kind of comedic relief in between songs, I think that's important.
It's clutch. Especially like the darker the song, the funnier the banter needs to be, because you gotta make people feel okay.
I played a Halloween show at the Mockingbird Theater, and I have the song about self-gaslighting, and I was like, nothing's scarier than a song about self-gaslighting. Here's something really, introspective.
So how to ask this question in a graceful way, Korby, do your best. How do you make money playing music as starting out, and what do you anticipate to be the principal generator of income, and do you ever think about it? Maybe because you're so young, who cares? A little bit.
I do think about it a lot.
You do?
I have a retail job that is actually ending in December. I work for an artist, and she's wanting to become an artist again. So it's a very bittersweet transition.
She's following what she probably should be doing, her calling, but you're out of work.
But I think it's also going to hopefully do a similar thing for me, where I can kind of take that leap and see what full-time music can look like. Because I have gigs in town, playing at the Listening Room tonight at 10 p.m.
Awesome.
If anyone wants to come out, it'll be well past, who knows, maybe by the time this airs I will be playing there again. There.
I'll try to line it up.
Whoa, okay.
It's possible.
We'll talk.
Okay, we'll talk.
So like gigs, and then I do a bit of custom songwriting with a couple different companies, organizations. Like
somebody pays, like they say, I want a song written for my wife for our anniversary, and nice.
Yeah.
I do that. This is relevant to the podcast. We're trying to talk about how artists make money. I do a little bit of songwriting on demand for people, but just through myself, through my kind of fan base. And I've talked to a couple of friends that have worked for these companies. And the price point is so low that I am shocked a little bit that you're not getting much compensation for how much time and energy you're putting into a song. And to my friend's company was saying that they charge $200 to write a song from scratch, and that's the company. That's not them writing the song. They're in-house songwriters, in-house. are doing the work. And so I imagine that's like being split. And is it a similar arrangement with what you do?
Yeah.
That's not enough money.
No. But if you do like 10 of them.
Yeah, but that feels, there's a part of me that gets my blood up a little bit because that feels a little exploitative on the part of the house in terms of what they're offering. Somebody created a website maybe and sunk some money into the advertising, and that's kind of it. And you're putting your blood, sweat, and tears into a song, and it's, I don't know, maybe you can crank one out in an hour, but I don't know. I'm not sure that is a very good way to do it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but I think that we were about to say is like, it's a gig and it's $100 is better than nothing.
Yeah. I feel like I make $100 at a time. You know, that's just early gig musician life is like, where can I go play for $100?
Wow, that makes me mad. I don't know why. Because you're worth a lot more than that. But I also understand that the world doesn't owe any artist any living, and the sooner an artist makes peace with that, I think the more effective they'll end up being at making a career for themselves. And it's the opposite, or the alternative is then you feel bitter and resentful that the world doesn't recognize your genius. So I think, I guess on balance, you have a great attitude about it, and maybe the right one, but just from the perspective of the man in this case, I'm just like, that's
yeah. Cool. And it's crazy how it all goes back to the internet for me. Because like, if you get your viral shot on one of your songs, that's an easy thing to be like, okay, now I'm worth this much when I go to a gig, because I can ask for a certain guarantee because I have 100,000 followers on TikTok. Where until you have those numbers, like, the music can be good, but
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a great thing that I need to learn. Is there a relationship between your TikTok followers, say, and actual people showing up to gigs?
I mean, I don't have like the audience that I was just talking about. That was definitely a hypothetical thing. But I have seen, I have a good buddy that went viral on TikTok, and I just saw him at the Songwriter Festival, and it was so cool to see people running up to him with like things to sign. And I've seen it. I think it's 100,000 people on TikTok might mean there are like 3 to 4 people in every major city, or maybe more.
Who knows the number, but it's not 100 people probably. It's just a few. But a million, if you scale that up, 1 million people, that's 30 people.
Yeah.
In every city. And I think if I remember right, on Spotify, maybe Spotify is always changing on the artist side. Like, there's kind of an under the hood side on Spotify. If you're an artist, and you can get the stats based on the plays that your songs are getting. And one of those stats is it will break down which markets, it's like a physical map of the country, and it'll sort of have like these spots where you're hotter than in other places. And then, so the logic there is that you can direct your touring efforts toward those spots.
Totally.
Do you spend much time on the analytical side of that stuff, or do you think about it?
I peek at it, especially recently. My buddy John Hewitt, who I met at a songwriting festival, he's from Edmonton, Canada, and he's been kind of playing at like some radio promo for me as a new endeavor. Like, he wants to help artists in that way. And sure enough, like, you can see Shazams from Edmonton, Canada, because they're playing my song on the radio.
Wow.
And that's cool to see.
That's really cool. And congratulations on that. And also, when somebody Shazams your song, you can find out that information.
Yeah, you can actually only see it on Apple Music for artists, but because you'll use like Siri or whatever to Shazam, and they might open it up and listen to it in Spotify. But Shazam is on the Apple Music for artists under the hood app.
Nice. I have when I was really doing this, I'm not doing it as hard as I was. I'm doing some other things as well. But when I was really doing it, I was kind of constantly overwhelmed by the obligation to maintain a presence across so many platforms. And then on top of that, to also be my own manager and try to effectively mount a campaign based on whatever interest is being shown to me some part of the. And I was just like, I don't know how anybody really does that and makes a song from their heart that touches people. But I guess it can be done, or I don't know. It's also just like, I guess you kind of, like you said, it sounds like your focus or your hope is to create a song or a piece of content or both that goes viral, and that will be the highest, that will give the highest likelihood of opening new doors and bigger doors to you. Is that a fair way to understand it?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one goal. Like, I feel like we've been talking about content a lot. So like in that world, of course, you want to make content that performs well.
Yeah.
Am I always focusing on that and like doing what I'm supposed to be doing, quotation mark, on like the social media front? No, because I like writing songs with my friends and
you're a person.
Yeah. So I really, what I'm hoping to do in these still winter months is like go full entrepreneur business plan, like figure out what goes into that.
Yeah.
So what I always run into is like I have these goals for myself. One is to produce an album, and then once that's done, I like set a new target, and that was to go on tour. And now that I've done both of those things this year, I have downtime, and that's when I start to get a little panicky. And so I just want to know like what to do in that in between, and like what those goals and kind of the admin side of my music job.
Yeah, and well, it sounds like you have some training in this department as well because of your undergrad thing. So you've been taught to think this way a little. So I imagine that will serve you well.
I hope so. It's a little weird. Everything's always changing, and that's cool.
Yeah. When you get to be an old dog like me, it's even more intimidating. But we also play music, so maybe we could do another song.
Let's do another song.
Which song do you have when you're going to play by yourself, and then maybe we'll do another one. Which one do you want to do now? It's your choice, your show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do Vegas now.
Let's do Vegas. Okay. We're going to do Vegas. Is this going to be an homage to your hometown, or?
It's an homage to my hometown and also the festival that we met. This was the song that I played at Wildflower, and
you took second place.
Took second place. Yeah.
Fantastic. I saw it right there in the bio.
After Korby took first place, which well deserved.
There was a bribe. All right, let's get in there. I can't wait.
Since I was a kid, I've known these neon lights, but they're shining brighter with your hand in mine. I'll show you this whole town, every place I've found. My old high school is a 15-minute drive from the welcome to Las Vegas sign. Took my prom pics there. You should have seen my hair. I've never been a gambler, don't have the abs to be a showgirl, but this town made a winner out of me. Some of us have dumb luck, or we're giving it our best bluff. So place your bet like lovers do. see Elvis on the street corner. He's singing to set my soul on fire. So we drive out to count the stars and feel the canyon quiet. And being here in your arms, my dreams have never felt more alive. I've never been a gambler, don't have the apps to be a showgirl, but this town made a winner out of me. Some of us have dumb luck, or we're giving it our best bluff. So place your bet like lovers do. And boy, I know that we can't lose. I'd bet on you, I'd bet on you. Let's see where dumb luck takes us to. I'd bet on you, I'd bet on you. It's my dumb luck that brought me you.
You're 23? Wow. I remember 23. Invincibility. You don't start, that doesn't start.
I don't know. My elbow.
You got the first
I've
chink in your
learned.
armor.
It's so rare that I'm injured.
Yeah.
I play it really safe. I don't.
I mean, it's so rare that anyone's injured, honestly, Abigayle.
Well, I don't know. Hearing your story about the Heelys makes me think that you're maybe more frequently injured than someone who.
I mean,
doesn't.
those stories took place across 5 years. So,
Okay.
On the whole, I tend to be non-injured.
Okay.
But
I'm glad we cleared this up.
but you play it maybe safer than even the average Jill or Joe. Is that what you're
Maybe.
saying?
Yeah, I'm like a brisk walk person.
Uh-huh.
I won't be on the basketball court jamming my fingers
It's not
with
your
the
thing.
basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, jamming your fingers, that's a serious one.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
One of the worst, especially for a guitar hand. Mm-hmm. So, okay, you've got, this is another question I wanted to ask the youth of today.
Uh-oh.
Do you make records or EPs or singles, and then conversely, do you listen to whole albums or whole EPs or singles?
Yes and yes. I only listen to records all the way through, really, unless I'm like checking out one new song that someone put out.
Huh, okay. I think that's encouraging or daunting. So you're going to make another record. The current one is a 10-track album?
It's 7 songs.
Yeah.
So I've called it both an EP and an album.
Depending on the crowd.
Yeah. It's like a long EP but a short album.
Uh-huh. I think that's kind of a sweet little spot. Why 7?
I think that those are just the songs that I felt strongly about putting out, and were kind of a cohesive sound and vision.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in with 7 songs and like produced 7 songs, co-produced with my buddy Chris Donlin.
It sounds great.
Thank you.
The record sounds fantastic.
We had so much fun. It's just like home studio, all my best musician friends.
Yeah. It feels very joyful. Well, and pretty sophisticated. I mean, it sounds great.
Thank you.
Was that like built kind of track, like overdubs track at a time?
We did a day that was bass and drums, so laid the foundation to a couple dinky demos that I made that had guitar and scratch vocal. And then kind of like built an instrument at a time. So we'd have it's unfortunately it comes to like the money thing definitely set the schedule. So
Sure.
like hiring a piano player for one session that's a couple hours versus like hey, can you come back and track on this other song?
So you're getting your money's worth for that one session.
Yeah,
like, let's track on 4 songs or whatever.
And also like time too.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that kind of guides me is like efficiency, and so that's how we did it that way.
do you kind of belabor, like when you get to the mix and everything, is it hard for you to finish, to sign off on a thing, or you're like, oh, this could be a little bit better, or this could be a little bit better? Do you struggle with that?
I feel like I have in the past, but working with Chris, I trust him so much that when he was like, I think this is close to being done, I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's so valuable to have a collaborator that you can trust, especially like a producer, mixer.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely lost my brain in the mixing part of the process, because I feel like there's something is blocking the sound from like actually entering correctly. Like, I don't know if I'm getting the right information in my head. It's
like from listening so much to a song. Yeah, I think that's if everybody gets a little tunnel vision. All of a sudden, it's like all you hear is the snare. Is the snare gone?
I know.
Yeah, that is crazy. And do you have some facility with like Pro Tools or Logic, or do you just sort of trust your circle or your collaborator to do that?
I'm definitely comfortable in Logic and kind of know like the basics, EQ, compression, like there's way too much reverb on that. Mm-hmm. But Chris is definitely the main force in the processing side of things.
Mm-hmm. But you can do it yourself, or like the technical side. It's not like you no familiarity with the...
Yeah.
And it seems like that's, I mean, a kind of a prerequisite anymore for anybody.
I think so. I mean, Belmont definitely helped in that area.
Gave you some skills.
Yeah,
some training. Well, let's have one more song, and maybe you can just play us out with this solo song. And do you want to set it up?
Sure. Yeah, this is, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy to hang out with you.
Thank you for having me. I feel like I learned a lot, and you were very gracious to put up with me. I'm like, back in my day, we all sold the CDs out of our trunk and we liked it. What are you guys doing anyway?
I still sell CDs out of my trunk.
Oh, that's so comforting.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a couple that you can have for this parting gift.
Well, thank you.
Tit for tat.
Thank
okay.
you.
No, thank you so much. I was going to thank you afterwards, but now that we're in the thanking part of the show, then I'll say thank you so much for giving me a little of your time and your music. This has been such a joy. And what is the track that you're most excited about that everyone needs to listen to on Spotify?
I guess this next one that I'm going to play, it's a song very near and dear to my heart in the sense that it brought me back to like the therapeutic aspects of writing. I feel like in Nashville, we can grind and write and show up and, you know, whatever hits the page. But this was like therapy, and I wrote it with my dear friend Sarah Bears. So
awesome.
Grateful to this song.
Can't wait to hear it. Thank you so much, Abigayle Compst.
Thank you, Korby.
I say a lot of stupid things, ignore emotions constantly. For someone who writes a lot of songs, I take the fault for what I lack. I'm really good at doing that. Professional, self-critical, and strong. No need to pass me a match for the self-attack. I'll ignite it on my own. I know how to hurt, but I make it worse. Oh, I'm a chronic overthinker, tugging at my fingers, golden girl accuser, picking anybody's 'cause I am my own best fighter, my worst gaslighter. I know enough of what I'm worth. I don't take shit I don't deserve. So why the hell do I let it slide when it's coming from my mind? No need to pass me a match for this self-attack. I'll ignite it on my own. I know how to hurt, but I make it worse. Oh, I'm a chronic overthinker, tugging at my fingers, golden girl accuser, picking anybody's side that isn't mine, isn't mine, isn't mine. 'Cause I am my own best fighter, my worst gaslighter. Could've handled that better. I'm in my head for absolutely everything, and I guess I'll never stop with the pressure, 'cause here I am spiraling. I'm a chronic overthinker, tugging at my fingers, golden girl accuser, picking anybody's side that isn't mine, isn't mine, isn't mine. 'Cause I am my own best fighter, my worst gaslighter.
Hey, thanks for watching. Click the like and subscribe button if you wouldn't mind. You can click over here to watch another complete episode, or click here to watch a playlist of the songs of the Morse Code Podcast. You know you want to. You know you want to. You know you want to.